35 years now, and I like it up here. It's gotten a little busier than when it used to be. But we seem to be skirting around the issue of the viability of a center of this size operating in this particular community. We know there's a lot of competition for the entertainment dollar. We know that times are getting tough for people and have been tough for a little while now. I've seen theater closings. Nobody seems to want to address the viability of this enterprise without having a professional franchise in this building. You can talk about 130 evenings a night and the benefit that is going to be derived by the people who are living in the community. At 5,000 people per event, which is basically, or 6,000 people per event, which is what you're talking about for your 700,000 attendees, it doesn't cut it as far as I'm concerned. If you don't have a major sports franchise in that building, then it's not viable. We have seen a lot written in the papers recently because it seems to be a lightning rod for, like, people love to write stories of negativity. That's what sells. And they constantly talk about the fact that in all of North America, I think they're talking about North America, that there is exactly one facility, one arena that does not have a major sports franchise that is surviving. And that is in Kansas City, because there is nothing else in the area. We have the Air Canada Centre, we have the Rogers Centre, and we have numerous other facilities and theaters and whatever to compete with this particular facility. I am not doubting in any way that the people involved in this can build a first-class facility. What I am doubting is the viability of it based on the history of such an enterprise.
You're here. You're here.
So, I didn't mean to shy away from that part of it. I think what's been of concern lately has been the financial framework. So I did spend a fair bit of time on that because I think that's a big concern of people, and it kind of tries to address some of the issue of viability. Let's start at the high level of the sports franchises. I'm not sure if you caught it, but our staff can provide you a link. The Conference Board of Canada just 2 months ago came out with a pretty significant report. And they've said, based on the growth right across Canada and the markets that now have developed and the future economic outlook for Canada, again, over the next 20 years, it's not going to happen overnight. They said that there's about 10 or 12 franchises, sports franchises, that could be supported across the country. And they relate to NHL, they relate to NBA, baseball, even soccer. So they're saying that you take a look at the markets that are available and growing in Canada, and with our economic outlook, there could be a number of sports franchise expansions. They specifically mentioned the GTA, and said definitely that a second hockey team could be supported here. And the part that I kind of almost fell off my chair on was they talked about a second team for the GTA and actually a third team in kind of the Hamilton Southwestern corridor, which would maybe be several years down the road, but it's quite incredible that they kind of said we could support a third team in that corridor as well, which would be the fourth team, I guess, or consider Ottawa. But so on the sports franchise level, I think we're well positioned on a number of fronts, people-wise, market-wise, and from an economic outlook. And there's been some studies. One was done by U of T, I think it was last year, indicated that in the GTA there's 800,000 pent-up demand for hockey ticket purchasers that can't get tickets, that would love to go see an NHL team. And I agree with you, I'd love to go see them there too, and particularly in our community. So at a very high level on the sports franchise, I think we're well positioned than probably any other place in North America from this perspective. The GTA has been described as the best hockey market in the world.
But Gary Bettman doesn't feel this way. He'd rather put another hockey team in the desert. I know you probably paid a little bit of attention to his history and where he's going with this kind of stuff, but he doesn't seem to like to go into Canada because his mandate is to look important. He's an American, and he wants as many franchises in the States as possible.
He's gone from the desert to Winnipeg, which is quite a contrast, so he did bring one back. And I think
actually, he went from Atlanta to Winnipeg. Well, he still hasn't dealt with the desert yet.
Well, the desert he's going to have to deal with, I suppose. But I wanted to describe certainly the sports franchise, and not just dreaming about it, but recognizing that we do have the market here, and it's not just us saying it, it's not others saying it, it's also the Conference Board of Canada saying it, among other institutions that have done the studies. So that's the sports franchise side. On the special events side, because this is one of the things we said, what if the NHL team were to never happen or not happen right away, or whatever the case may be? Is this thing viable? Global Spectrum, as I said, they run 130 major facilities across North America. I've been a part of the team that has been put together on the private sector side. 100 to 130 is their estimate, and I think probably their estimate's higher, and again, they've been told to be conservative. But when you take a look at the fact that there is pent-up demand within the GTA on special events, concerts, and cultural activity today, and with the fact that there's another 2 million people coming to the Greater Toronto area, that's only going to continue to be the case. They feel comfortable with that number. They run a number of facilities, and there are events that can't get into the ACC because they have an NHL franchise, they have an NBA franchise, and with their schedule, and I hate to say this without getting a laugh, and their playoff schedule, they can't give away those nights. And again, with the growth, the cultural mix that is here, also the opportunity to attract other sporting organizations that maybe are not at the level of NHL. You combine special events, trade shows, conventions, cultural events. The feeling is that 100 to 130 is a very comfortable number. The arena itself does not make a lot of money. It's kind of, maybe it's the wrong analogy, but if you're trying to decide, do I buy a cottage or do I buy a Winnebago? You know, the cottage, obviously you go up to the cottage and you enjoy that scenery, and that's what that lifestyle is all about. You buy the Winnebago, I don't know if it's cheaper than the cottage because there's pretty nice Winnebagos these days, but the Winnebago gives you a whole set of different lifestyle than the cottage does. And so by building and facilitating this arena, it's once you build the arena, what can come to your community, and it won't come without it. And this is what really for me, I think the debate and position has been all about. Can we do this in a way, and I think we can, do this in a way without raising taxes, facilitating the construction of this arena, and then reaping the benefits of the level of activity that comes to the arena. And you know, again, we're relying on the people. And by the way, I think they just got the contract for Cops Coliseum as well. So they have a number of venues across the province and across North America. I was just down in London a few weeks ago. How many seats does that have? 9,000. It's smaller than this is, but you know, you got it right. You did the math. It's about 6,000 is going to be the average attendance for some of these events. Others obviously going to be higher, some will be lower. But you know, just standing there, and I just more or less came across it by accident, just standing there and looking at the center and what's happened around the downtown area of London. I kind of envision having something like that in our community, what that brings in terms of all the associated activity. And again, that experience for us all, whether it's going to be hockey or whether it's going to be a concert or whether it's going to be to see a guest speaker of some kind, that shared experience in a cultural center, I think, is important for a community as well. And I get back to the point about retaining some of the young talent that we have in our community and giving them those experiences here versus having to go somewhere else. There was one at the back, so we're going to go to someone new and then I can come back.
Yes, I'll do all my